Have more folks joining us right now. So we will wait one more minute so we can be as prompt as possible. I still see a few people joining us. So Elon families that are just recently joined us, we are going to get started in just probably about 30 seconds or so. I'm just making sure we have allowed time for everybody to join in. Well, I said we were going to start at 2 after, so it is 2:02. If you didn't hear before, we are recording this. So just FYI of that. So welcome, incoming class of 2029. Families, we are so glad you're here for this webinar being hosted by the Office of Parent Engagement with support from new student programs. So I'm Emily Lyons. I'm a proud MBA grad of 2025. So it is not my birthday. If you see my birthday banner in the background, today is not my birthday. It was actually a couple of days ago. Our office enjoys decorating and cheering and supporting one another. So we enjoy letting our festivities linger for a little while. So I am Assistant Director of Parent Engagement here at Elon. I work with our summer welcome events and our webinar series, Ready, Set, Elon. I've been with Elon for 6 years. So hopefully by the time you're done with this webinar, we've answered a lot of your questions. We're going to introduce the rest of our people on our webinar, and then I'll give you an idea of how the day is going to go. So I'll pass it over to Will.
Hey everyone, I'm Will Robertson. I'm fortunate to serve as the Director of Parent Engagement here at Elon. And for the purpose of this webinar, I will be in the chat. So if you all have questions that you'd like to get answered, you can go ahead and use your keyboard to enter those questions in the chat at the bottom, and I'll do my best to answer those. The questions that we've received multiple times or questions that have relevance to a large majority of you folks, I will ask to the panelists at the end, and so you'll get a chance to hear from them answering those questions directly. But again, if you have specific questions, you can put them in the chat at any time. And now I'm going to introduce Peter and Libby Ridgely.
Hi, all.
Hello, everyone.
We are Libby and Peter Ridgely from Hopkinton, Massachusetts, and we are the proud parents of 3 Elon students, actually 2 Elon graduates, and our daughter, our 3rd child, will be a senior this year. And I think I'll tell you a little bit about what they studied in case any of you have anybody going into these programs. Our oldest graduated with an environmental science major and proudly worked on the Eco Village. And our second son, Pierce, just graduated in May, and he was a marketing major with a entrepreneurship minor, and ran his own business while at Elon and had the support of many faculty members as he did that. And our daughter is a business fellow minoring in finance with an economics minor, and has just come back from a study abroad program in Italy, and then through the fellows program was able to travel to Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and has just had a fantastic experience. So
Yep,
we'll pass it over to Ella.
And Ella, before you get started, let me interrupt you. I think I misspoke earlier. Let's put the questions in the Q&A, not the chat. I didn't realize there was 2 options. So let's use the Q&A rather. I think the chat is disabled. So put your questions in the Q&A. All right, Ella, you're up.
Okay. Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Ella Allen. I am a rising senior at Elon. I'm one of the student coordinators for new student programs. So all things for orientation, the move-in day process, the entire experience that your students are going to be going through. That's kind of our office and what we've been working on planning this summer. We're super excited to have everyone here. A little bit more about me. I'm from Frederick, Maryland originally. So just about 6 hours up the road from Elon. I am a math with teacher licensure major and I'm minoring in French. So because I'm a teaching major, I'm also one of the teaching fellows. So again, if you have questions about abroad, I was in New Zealand in my sophomore spring. So I can talk about that if anyone has questions, or you can reach out to me. I'm also a tour guide on campus, so I know a lot about just like campus resources, things like that. Um, and I'm involved in Greek life and just overall, I really love Elon and I'll happy to talk about it. So if you have any questions.
Super. Thank you, everyone. So today we're going to do a little overview of what move-in weekend, the whole weekend looks like. I know everybody has their time to come on August 22nd. But what does that mean? Where do you start and that sort of thing? New student convocation. What is that? What is that? And do parents stay and that sort of thing? Do you need a mallet to loft your bed? So all moving kind of questions. We'll chat about the fall semester, how students can get involved, different opportunities on campus, and then just general questions like Ella mentioned about study abroad or, finding your place on campus or resources or different things about the academic process. So first I want to tell you a little bit about Elon's Office of Parent Engagement. That's what Will and I are part of. And during move-in weekend, you will see us on campus for a couple of events. But our office is for parents. It is entirely to answer your questions, to be here as a resource, and to share communications. So we send out newsletters to you. Any information you get from Elon will be from the Office of Parent Engagement. So if there's an email that is shared with students that we think the families also need to know that information, we share that as well. We host webinars throughout the academic year similar to this on a variety of topics. We host Family Weekend, which we'll talk about in a few moments as well. So that's a broad picture of what parent engagement does. We do like to make sure you understand that if you have a question and you go, I don't know who to call at Elon or email, parent engagement is the answer. So you can email parentengagement@elon.edu or give us a call. And we'll be happy to either, we don't know the answer to your question, to navigate that for you and provide you with the right resources. So Ella, Peter, Libby, let's jump into move-in weekend. It's been a little while since you've experienced move-in weekend, but looking back, Peter and Libby, can you give just first an overview of what move-in weekend was like for you as parents?
Well, at first I'd say we were a little bit nervous with our oldest, but Elon does a fantastic job. I'm sure you've all received what time you're supposed to be in the Shar Center parking lot. And so we did it full family style. We brought the younger brothers and sisters with us and had our car parked, and then it was pretty seamless. They directed us, they close off different roads, they direct you where you go, and then all of a sudden we opened the doors and we had all these smiling faces grabbing all the bags out of our cars. And I think you went and parked the car.
Yep. Yep.
And we went up the stairs one time, and all the students and faculty had delivered all of Will's bags right to his dorm room. And we honestly couldn't believe how amazing a process it was. And Elon replicated that the second time with our second son and the third time with our daughter. So it is a well-oiled machine for the move-in process.
It's not what I remember when I was starting in
Yeah.
college at all. I remember it being an entire weekend event of building, constructing, tearing down. This
Yes.
was a community effort and it was very smooth. Lots of help. It was fantastic, very easy.
And I would say
Yes.
the energy on campus is
Yeah,
just,
infectious.
it is, it
Yeah.
is. And our first going off to school was a little bit nervous and it was just hard not to just feel comfortable right away.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember ever seeing the marching band coming through campus.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're going through campus on move-in day, stopping and playing. There's it kind of like brings out your school spirit at that point.
Yes.
So,
And the
but you're
students were so friendly and helpful as well.
Yeah.
yes, but you're right. So the time that families have, if it's 9 o'clock, 9:15, whatever, that is the time they go to Shar Center, which is our basketball arena, and they drive around back, and there's plenty of directions and signage of Elon staff members pointing you in the right direction. Just follow the arrows, and you'll get your packet of your Phoenix card. If you've ordered any t-shirts for move-in weekend, any tickets for the picnic, anything else that you need will be in one packet for your student. And as Libby mentioned, you get a hang tag that gives you specific directions for that day only, because we do close some streets to make things one way and for traffic flow. And so we have the football team is out there, soccer teams, different students are helping to unload cars and get things where they need to be. So, Ella, what can you add to the actual move-in process?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like Libby mentioned, there's going to be so many students. I've been an OL for the last 2 years. So orientation leaders, that's what OL stands for. They are super involved. We have 96 of them coming in this year. So there's going to be 96 students scattered across campus in the different neighborhoods. They'll greet you at your car. So once they direct you, there's signage everywhere directing you to where you need to go neighborhood wise. They'll greet you at your car, offer to help you load things into bins, and they'll take everything in a giant bin all the way up to your building. We do ask on move-in day, just to help things go faster, really smooth, that you label everything with your first and last name and then the building and room number. So say you're living in Carolina, you would put like Carolina 102. That's where I lived my first year. And you would have your name and that building and that room number all in one place so that everything can just be brought right up into that room. It runs very smoothly. And yeah, you'll definitely have to help a little bit once like everything's in your room. But the OLs will really, really be helpful in terms of getting things from your car into the space.
The key takeaway from that is label, label your stuff with your name, your residence hall, and your room number. Great advice. So after that, families go and they have time to unload things or unpack, and if they want to loft a bed, there's people from facilities around that has the tools that you may need for that, and they're happy to help. Every neighborhood, as you mentioned, has a station with helpers there to answer questions, direct you where you need and whatnot. Any other key takeaways that you might suggest, Peter or Libby, for families for the move-in process?
I would just say, don't worry about your move-in time. If you have a later move-in time, there's plenty of time to settle in because you're not doing all those trips up and down stairs. It's all right there. So I felt like we had a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I was worried that we were going to be rushed, but we had time to go to Target and get those last minute things. And yeah, I think it's so well organized that don't worry about your timing. You'll have plenty of time to settle in.
Yeah.
Did Ella or Peter or Libby, did you guys ship anything to the mail center? Or have to go pick up anything from the mail center?
We did not, but there were several families that had actually used Bed Bath and Beyond to ship, purchase and ship for pickup. I remember talking to several parents that did that. That was a very easy process, as I recall, for them. But I can't speak to the shipment for move-in to the postal center at on campus. We didn't do that. We drove like, family truckster, everything loaded in a trailer. I mean,
Yeah.
we showed up and made a statement when we did. So.
Love it, love it. So you can mail things ahead of time. I think it starts August 11th. That you can start mailing items or shipping items to the mail center here on campus. And then you would go there during your move-in day to pick them up. So, we do have a local Walmart, Bed Bath and Beyond, and we don't have any more. But there's a local Walmart, Target, spaces that you can, do order pickup, if that's helpful. So, Ella, any tips you would add?
Yeah, if you are concerned, if your student does have a lot of stuff that they're going to be moving in and you're concerned about fitting it all in one car, we've had families bring 2, 3 cars. We've also had families come through on giant U-Haul moving trucks. So if for whatever reason you do need a really large truck, we're totally like we'll accommodate. Like you'll go in the line with everyone else and we'll hop on your truck and help take things off. So whether it's a small SUV or anything, we'll help no matter what.
There's a good point to that, Ella. That was us, by the way, with the U-Haul trailer and multiple vehicles. Yeah, over the years, as everybody started bringing cars, it got to be a real convoy for us. But the one thing that was nice is just to let parents know too that there's ample parking. So when you are with that truck and trailer and you're worried about where to put it, there's plenty of spaces to put it. The campus does a really great job about traffic management, and there's no stress to be able to making sure that you have a parking spot. I know that was something I worried about as I was, had all this stuff in tow, and it was not a problem at all.
Yes, because move-in day on the 22nd is only for incoming first years.
Yep.
So second, third, and fourth years that might be moving in, that happens another day later. So that Friday is only incoming families on campus. If you have not visited North Carolina in August, I do want to share it is humid typically, sometimes a little warm. So I would definitely dress accordingly. Have a water bottle handy, maybe some snacks or whatever. But North Carolina we do cool off later in the year, but in August, we're still a little warm and toasty. So. And then that afternoon, families have the opportunity to go to an information session, and hear from a couple people from campus, that they would like to hear from, some things that are going to be happening. I believe campus safety is there, student life is there, and parent engagement is there as well. So, and then Ella, orientation starts that afternoon, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so orientation starts that afternoon. We have move-in until usually around 2 o'clock, and then you have some time to go, spend time with your family, set up your room, do whatever. And then you meet back with your orientation leader. When you go through the SHAR Center, you'll get a little name tag that'll have your orientation number on that. All the OLs will be standing in the center of Canvas with big guideposts. They're usually decorated and they have a big number on it. So you just go and find that number, and that will be your orientation leader and your OL group for the weekend. There's just a series of meetings and presentations. You'll go to activities, icebreakers to get to know people. For a lot of groups, the people that you have in your OL group are going to be the same people that you'll have in your Elon 1010 class for that semester. Your Elon 1010 is like academic advising, that kind of thing. So the people in your group you'll be spending time with all semester. So it's a great way to just get to know some of the people you'll be spending a lot of time with in your first semester.
So you brought up Elon 1010, and so this Elon 1010 meets every week
Hmm.
that first year.
Yes.
And it's partly like learning about Elon, learning about being in college, And then they do academic advising for the J term and for spring semester as well. So that's kind of an important person and an important group because she's kind of like a little cohort that students can end up hopefully relying on each other and building relationships with. So 5 o'clock-ish, is that the time? 4 or 5 o'clock it starts
4 or 5
for
o'clock.
orientation?
Yeah.
But there's a schedule in there in your information packet that you get from Shar Center during move-in that tells you the schedule. The schedule is also online. The parent schedule is also online as well. But I just wanted to walk through it to make sure parents knew that you're welcome to participate in these activities, and we want you to be there. So Saturday morning, there is a coffee that will be held in front of LaRose Commons in the historic district, kind of near the Alamance, the backside of Alamance building, that families can come by and get a cup of coffee around 7:30 in the morning, pastries and fruit, whatnot, because students will be going to line up that morning. They'll be going straight from their residence hall to line up for new student convocation. Parents will be going to for new student convocation to wait. New student convocation start time is 9 a.m. And I cannot stress this enough. 1,400 students are going to be coming around those seats around the 8:30, 8:40 mark and proceeding in. So if you're not in a seat for new student convocation, which is held under the Oaks, in front of West, near the School of Comm building, you may be standing there waiting for all these students to pass by you before you can go sit down. So highly suggest finding a seat. You're welcome to go over 8 o'clock, 7:45, enjoy your coffee and pastry, or so. There's bathrooms located in the buildings behind new student convocation, but just plan to be sitting down by 8:30. So, Peter and Libby, do you remember your first new student convocation?
I remember all
I
three
do.
of them.
Yeah, all
It's a
three, yeah.
very special ceremony. And now sort of at the end of our journey at Elon and when we were sitting in the for commencement, it's such a growth, but I highly encourage everyone to attend. It's a beautiful ceremony.
Yes. So new student convocation is a time that different people will speak. President Book will speak, and then as students exit, they'll get an acorn from a basket. Ella, do you still have your acorn?
I do somewhere. Sitting in a drawer somewhere, definitely.
Yes, yes. So Elon stands for oak, if you didn't know. And so we have lots of oak trees on campus that the squirrels love the acorns from. But you get an acorn at new student convocation. And then when the students graduate during baccalaureate, they will get an oak sapling. So we talk about them going from an acorn to an oak. So that's the significance of that. Peter and Libby, do you remember after new student convocation going and meeting Elon 1010 advisors?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did. And that is very comforting because you get to see what professor your child will have. And they just kind of give you the rundown. And I remember feeling so confident because Will's, I still remember, that's our oldest, Rhonda Belton and she's still at Elon. She had been at Elon, I think, for 20 years when he was a freshman. And then they also have a teaching assistant in that class. So the kids, if they feel more comfortable going to a professor, they had a professor, or if they felt more comfortable going to an older peer, they had that. And I know we were a little bit worried about our oldest just navigating
A big campus.
yeah, big campus for the first time. and picking classes, and they take care of all of that in that Elon 1010 class.
Ella, do you remember your Elon 1010?
I remember it vividly. I was with all the teaching fellows in my freshman year. And our peer educator, who is like your TA for that class, I still keep in touch with her. We're still good friends. And then I ended up being a peer educator for 2 years after that. So it's a great mentorship experience. It's all about just learning about registering for classes, and they help you develop a 4-year plan, which
Yeah.
sounds really scary, but it will change, and it's like meant to kind of help you get used to the planning process and everything. It's very helpful.
Super. So families after new student convocation can go to a space on campus and meet their students' Elon 1010 instructors. And then the students will be going to another space with their orientation leaders during that time. And then will then go to an information session that is spread out in front of the Mosley Center. And there's campus partners from the Phoenix card office, from Elon Dining, campus safety, campus rec, all different things where people might have questions or wanting to have at least a face to put, in connection with that. So families can go out and meet. The Office of Parent Engagement will be out there, so you can meet our team of us. So, and then following that is the send-off picnic. Um, I know I don't remember if tickets sales online have closed yet. I don't remember the date of that, but if they have, no worries. You can go to Mosley Center before the picnic and purchase a wristband for whomever would like to enjoy the picnic there. You are not required as a family to go to the picnic. There's other spaces on campus that you can go and have lunch. That we do in the town of Elon, which is about 2 blocks. Um, there are a couple of great restaurants. The Tangent Taco is one of my favorites. If you don't enjoy it this trip, you enjoy it another time. So there's other places that you can eat. And then Ella, if I'm remembering right, from that point on, the student is busy doing orientation activities.
Yes. So the family picnic, I have the time. It goes until 2 o'clock. And then from 2 to 4, you have a bit of a break. So that's typically when students will say goodbye to their families. And then you meet back up with your orientation leader. And at that point, it's kind of expected that the student is on their own with the OL group. And we have activities planned until Monday night. So we keep them very busy, and I found that orientation was very helpful. It definitely like distracted from some of the homesickness because they get you moving and you're constantly meeting people and doing things, and it's very exciting.
Peter and Libby, did you have any tearful goodbyes at that
Well,
point?
actually, we didn't, because he was so busy. He had orientation to get to. So I was worried about it.
Yeah.
And as I recall, we got on the road earlier than we thought we were going to, because the room was all set. He had all of the orientation stuff to do. And so we were like, all right, I
Yeah.
guess we
Time for us to go. Yeah, it really is a testament to how smooth it all runs. But yes, I think what Ella said is absolutely true. They do keep the students so busy that you find that you're not needed as much as you might want to be or think you are. So it's time to go.
Yes, yes, yes. So then classes start. Ella, once classes start, how did you find a way to kind of connect or get involved or find your people?
Yeah, of course. So your 1010 group is definitely really helpful. Mine was special because it was within a cohort, so we all like knew we were going to be spending 4 years together. But I highly recommend go to the organization fair. That usually happens the first or second week of classes. We have over 200 organizations on campus, and they will all be set up in the big common space. Go there. Like, please make your students tell them to go there. Everyone's set up. there's just like so many ways to get involved. So just like join clubs, put your name down on lists. You can start receiving texts about when groups are meeting. That's what I did. I got involved in student-directed plays and one acts through Renegade, which is just one of the theater things. I did theater in high school. So that was kind of a way to pull something familiar for me to get involved in. Yeah, there's just tons of ways to get involved. So I recommend going to the org fair, signing yourself up, just going to meetings. Even if you go once, like you met a couple people, you did something fun, you got out of your dorm. So do things like that, talk to people.
Yeah, because you can sign up for different organizations and clubs and go one time and you're like, this isn't my thing, right? Or I can't fit it all in, that happens a lot of times. So Peter and Libby, do you remember any of the organizations that your sons were in?
I remember before that even, I remember being very impressed by the sheer amount of clubs for every interest you could imagine. I don't have the
Yes.
statistics, perhaps you or Will or Ella does, but it was phenomenal. If you could think it, it was there, and there was a group of people, a group of students that had a like-minded feeling about something. And I think it is a great way to involve the students very quickly. It really was very impressive. That's what I do remember very
Yeah.
vividly.
Fun ones. There's like an outdoor club that one of our sons was involved in, a
Yes.
car
Oh, yeah, there
club
was a
that
car
they,
club, yeah.
and I think I mentioned this, our first was more of an introvert, and what was nice is sort of they all went as a group of guys from his floor on Smith, and so don't underestimate the positive peer influence. Elon is a culture that sort of grabs everyone, and you find your group, and it really, there's a lot for everyone.
Super, super. So fast forward a little into the fall semester, we have family weekend. And our office organizes family weekend, so we're kind of proud of it. It will be September 26th through the 28th. That's a Friday through Sunday that families are encouraged to come back to campus. Families are welcome. Let me say this. Families are welcome to come back to campus any time that their student, what it works out. It doesn't have to be a special event like family weekend. So if family weekend doesn't work in your schedule, come another weekend. But family weekend is when there is a lot of programming for families, and we have a football game, rockapella happens. We have fall convocation with a speaker. This year it is Olympic swimmer Katie Ledecky will be speaking. So, Peter and Libby, thoughts on family weekend? Any tips or tricks or?
Well, I will tell you, it's just so fun to go back a month later and see where your student is at. But I think it's phenomenal that you get to meet with your child's professors. You get their schedule, and they do build in time for a quick check-in, and we always found that very helpful.
Yeah.
And then at that point, they're ready to go out to dinner after eating in the dining halls. And, we did a lot of Walmart and Target visits and that sort of thing. But you just lay eyes on your child and you think, wow, they're fine. They're in good hands and they're acclimated by that point. You get to meet some of their friends. So we love family weekend.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Super. Ella, do you have a special family weekend memory or moment?
Yeah, okay, funny enough, in my freshman year, there was a hurricane that passed through campus during family weekend. So I think my parents ended up coming the following weekend just to miss some of the weather. But it's always great to just come. I know the football games are always especially packed during family weekends. So that was really fun. Just I don't typically go to sports games, so it was fun to just like go to that with my parents. Yeah, it's just a good time to be able to see everyone. I chose in my first year just to combat homesickness. I didn't want to go home until Thanksgiving break. So it was great to have some home come to me. So I was still able to kind of get acclimated to campus, but still getting that little taste of home a month out from move-in.
Yes, yes. And Peter and Libby mentioned the faculty meet and greet that happens that Saturday during family weekend. So at check-in, you'll get a schedule of where your students, professors will be on Saturday. And honestly, you can't physically make it to everybody because they're kind of across campus. But I highly suggest chatting with your students, say who's like your top three or something that you would love for me to meet, hear about this class. They're not going to talk about your students' grades or their attendance or anything like that, but they will tell you this is what we're doing in class or this is a project we're working on, and that sort of thing. So you get an idea of what your students doing all day, what they're talking about in class and that sort of thing. So we had a couple of questions that were submitted before our webinar. So jobs on campus. Um, Ella, do you have any suggestions if people are looking for jobs on campus, what that process is? You have a job on campus, so
I
yeah.
do. Yeah, so I recommend if you are actively wanting to search for something on campus, going through the Student Professional Development Center or through Elon Job Network. They're both online websites. You can find them on the Elon website if you just search up like Elon Job Network or Student Professional Development Center. You'll be able to find those websites. Through that, you're usually able to do searches. You can filter like you want it on or you want it off campus. You want to work in a certain office, or you can pick certain interests. So say you're more artistic, they'll maybe great like guide you towards maybe working in like the Maker Hub or something like that. So that's what I did. Like I said, I was interested in being a tour guide, so I was able to find the tour guide application on that website. I applied to work in new student programs through the office. So if there's also maybe specific offices that you're interested in, you can reach out to them and see if they're hiring. Um, like I said, there's student workers in basically any office or any building that has a front desk. There's usually positions for students. So there's always going to be opportunities to get positions starting your freshman year.
Yes, yeah, we have a student assistant in our office. And just about every office I'm sitting here ticking through in my head. The library has people, media technology has people. So there's lots of opportunities to go either to the Student Professional Development Center's website. You'll hear that often called SPDC for short, or Elon Jobs Network, EJN. So your students, let them get a week or two under their belt on campus. They can start looking at those jobs and seeing what's out there. So there's also a job fair, separate from the from the organization fair, that people who might be looking to hire will come together in one space for an afternoon, and students can go around, meet and greet. It's a great opportunity for students to, have their resume ready and maybe, to showcase some of their skills they've learned in the past, or why they're a good fit, to be in an office of different sorts. So we do have buses that go from campus to main spaces in Burlington, like Target, Harris Teeter. Do you make use of those, Ella?
I would use the shuttle in my freshman year. I took the shuttle definitely one evening to Target. And it just drops you off. There's a spot with a sign that says the Elon shuttle. There's an app where you can track the pathways of that. But yeah, I have my car on campus now, so I use that now.
Yes, and all students can have their car on campus. Just depends on where you have to park, depends on what year you are. So um someone asked about vaccines. There will be a time on campus that flu and COVID vaccines are offered, and there'll be an email sent out. Our Vice President of Student Life is John Dooley, and I bring up his name because your student will get to know his name through email quite a bit. He sends out emails that students' information is what they may need to know about campus. The vaccine offerings is one of them as well. And I think it's just the flu vaccines this year. So There is local spaces, local drugstores that your student can also schedule a time to go if they need different vaccines than that. So, um, Will, do you have any questions that in the chat that any themes that
Man, they're keeping me busy today. So I think this, I think all of our panelists can answer this one. What is something that may not be top of mind that families should remember to bring for move-in, like something that they may not be thinking about, but that would be really handy for move-in? The first thing that I thought, not necessarily something to bring, but to label your boxes. So when you're coming to move in, because there may be like 5 or 6 different people that grab like 1 or 2 boxes each to make sure they all get to the right place. So put your student's name and the dorm room on every piece that you have, whether you label it or write on it or whatever. Anything that you guys that comes to mind, things that
Pair of
may not be
scissors.
obvious.
Yeah.
I'd say a pair of scissors to open all those boxes.
Yep.
And
Well,
maybe a screwdriver set.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, I'm married to a professional organizer, so she had an entire box of, or bag rather, of tools, mallet, screwdriver, all those things. And while available through the university, through the different facilities folks, it was helpful to just have that bag handy if you did choose to bring it. I would think that's helpful.
Yep. Ella, anything to add?
I would say, if anything, the doors are going to be opening and closing a lot, and obviously it's August. It's going to be hot. Bring a good fan. Have a really good fan so that you can have that running in your room. Just keep the air cool while you're getting everything set up.
Yeah. And Ella, you may be able to answer this question. There's been a lot of questions about like orientation groups and 10-10 groups and kind of the difference between those two, if there is one, and then if they're in an LLC or if they're in a fellows group, does that affect either their orientation group or their 10-10 group?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm in a fellows group. So if you are in a fellows group, those are cohorted for your orientation and for your Elon 1010 class. Just to kind of distinguish between the two, your orientation group is who you will have and who you will be spending time with during the weekend of orientation. Typically, it's the same students that you'll have in your 1010 class, but there might be a different like TA or peer educator, student leader, student mentor for that group. But this is the group that you take then with you throughout the entire fall semester, that guides you with that. I don't know as much about LLCs because I didn't live in one, so I can't answer that part as much. But I do know for fellows programs that is cohorted based on OL group and peer educator group.
Gotcha. And there's been lots of questions about, and I know you guys talked about it briefly. I've been trying to listen while typing at the same time. I know you guys talked about mail and shipping things. There's been lots of questions about that. So Ella, can you speak a little bit to picking things up in Mosley and one-way streets and how to get to your items on Friday? I actually called mail services just to triple check. So Thursday they're open 8:30 to 5. So if you are in town and are able to pick up your stuff on Thursday, you can go the day before. But if you're not getting until Friday, Ella, what would you suggest about checking in at Shar versus picking up your stuff versus all that kind of thing?
Yeah. I'm trying to think because we mostly had, for my personal move-in experience, we had everything in our car already.
Yep.
So we didn't take advantage of the mail services
Yeah.
that day.
Yeah.
In general though, if you do want to send something to campus, you should get a campus box number.
Yep.
You should be able to find that on if you have access to your OnTrack account at this point, you should be able to sign in there. That's just a number. You mail it to the university address, so 100 Campus Drive, and then your campus box number. And whenever those packages come in, you'll get on your student email a QR code that comes up, just basically telling you, hey, you have package, you have mail, whatever. You go into that office and you tap the QR code and they'll be able to go and get your package. So it's very simple. As long as you are a student here, you will have a campus box number and you'll get those QR codes. But yeah, that's what I would say.
And so one thing for everybody to keep in mind is a lot of the streets on campus are turned into one-way streets just for logistical perspective. So plan on, for the most part, like walking to the Mosley Center which is in the center of campus, to get your packages. There's not really going to be a way to like drive up to the door and pick up your packages and load them in your car and move and take them to your dorm. So they do have a couple of dollies that you'll be able to borrow if you have something really big. So my suggestion would be go to the Shar Center first, get your hang tag, because on some of those roads, you're not going to be able to go down the road without the hang tag. So you're going to need that to get to your dorm, and then plan on walking from your dorm to the Mosley Center, picking up your packages and going back if you're doing it on Friday. But keep in mind, as you know, the Ridgeleys and Ella have mentioned, you have plenty of time. Like it's not going to be some kind of major rush. Oh, I have to get it right now. It's going to be a 10-minute walk across the campus. I can't do, like, you're going to have plenty of time. Take your time, walk over there, get your stuff, walk back. Even if you have the last move-in time, which is at like 1:30, I think, or something like that, you still have 3 hours to move in, and you're going to have so much help. It's not going to be some kind of crazy stressful rush. You're going to have plenty of time to do that. So kind of put everybody at ease. But I would say check in. If you're getting your packages Friday, go ahead and check in at Shar Center first. And I think you guys may have mentioned, we do get a lot of packages, as you can imagine. So some of them are going to be stored in, we rent a couple of portable storage units. They're going to be stored in those storage units. So anything that will be bothered by the heat, I think you guys may have mentioned this already, but don't send things like, don't send a big tub of chocolate in the package, because it's going to melt before you get to it. So think about things like blankets or pillows, that kind of stuff is all good. That's totally fine. But anything that, you know, a picture even that could potentially be damaged by the heat, I would not mail that as well. And I think I'll let the Ridgeleys take this one first, and then Ellie, you can jump in. A couple of questions about winter term, J term, and kind of what that's like. And, you know, you guys can speak to your experiences with winter term.
Yeah, I highly recommend that, by the way.
Yes,
But,
and
go
we
ahead.
don't even have to recommend it. It is, I think, optional, but I don't know the percentage. Our kids always did J term. They loved it because it's an opportunity to just be focusing on one class 5 days a week, and all your friends are there, and it's a little less stressful because you're not balancing other classes, or that's what we heard.
Yeah.
And then there's a little time afterwards, they call it fake break. I don't know if that's a university sanctioned
Term.
but that's what the kids call it. And we would always have a group of kids come to our house for fake break. So we'd hear a lot about the opportunities that they had during J term. And still to this day, our boys, our son who had graduated, they still come for fake break, even though they have jobs, and they take a couple days off and come skiing.
Yeah.
So highly recommend J term.
Yep.
Ella, did you take classes during winter term, J term?
I did. I've done it all 3 years. I also highly recommend it. If you're not necessarily interested, if you want to take a break away from campus, we do have some abroad trips that are offered during J term. So that's just like, if maybe you don't want to do a full semester abroad, you can do a short 3-week trip abroad. Within my program, we did, in my first year, it was an East Coast trip. So we did basically a road trip as far south as St. Augustine, as far north as Washington, D.C., just visiting different educational sites, things like that. I took a more lax class in my sophomore J term because I was going abroad the following semester. And then last year, my cohort, again, we went to Washington, D.C., spent some extended time there, taking some political education classes. So I highly recommend J term. It's a great way to just, again, kind of enjoy campus without necessarily the stress of taking 3-4 classes at a time. I know Peter and Libby mentioned fake break. That's what we all call it. And that's also when sorority recruitment, standard recruitment happens. So if any of your students are interested in going into Greek life, sorority recruitment specifically happens during that 1 week time. So you would stay on campus during that time, and that's exclusively basically for sorority recruitment.
And just to clarify, we're throwing out these terms, and I'm sure a lot of the families are like, what's J term? So fall semester, August to second week of December, I believe, roughly. And then students go home for the holidays. and then they come back first part of January. I'm not gonna remember the date off the top of my head, but literally the first couple of days of January. And J term is literally just during the month of January. So it's just those weeks of January. Some students will just only take one class. Maybe they have a science that they just want to focus on that one class, or they want to take something that's maybe a little more creative or a little different than their other classes, and it's a good way to explore. So when we say J term, we're talking about the term of classes during the month of January. So a lot of times students don't understand that classes are happening during that time. Highly encourage students to come back as part of the tuition already. So you're not getting a benefit for not being there. But it's definitely a great way, especially if you are concerned about staying on a 4-year track. This is one way Elon has broken it down so that we can definitely help students graduate in 4 years and not have to take an extended amount of time to graduate, is by allowing J-term classes. And I think I've not heard any negatives about it. So, and that time between the end of January and when spring semester will start in February, the academic calendar is on our website. If you go to Elon, side note, when you go to Elon University's website, it has a search bar. Use it like you would Google. Like that's the best way to navigate our website. Put whatever the topic is. So if you were looking for the academic calendar, pull it up and look at it that way. But it will tell you the time off in between J term and the start of the spring semester. So it's a couple of days. Usually it varies depending on how the calendar lays out, but it's good to note of how long your student may not be in class. Is that a good time for them to come home? Would that be when they decide to do recruitment for a sorority? What, kind of think through that. So, a couple of questions I keep seeing is textbooks. So I know for me, for my MBA classes, I did not buy any textbooks until the first day of class. Waited until that professor went through the syllabus because they might be like, yeah, we're probably not using that right now, or I want you to get this version or that. So, experiences, Ella, Peter, Libby with textbooks.
Yeah, I would definitely say wait. Just because, I mean, if you rent textbooks through the Barnes& and Noble Elon site, they're typically fairly inexpensive. I don't think I've spent more than $10 to rent any textbook of mine over the course of my time here, but definitely wait just in case, because a lot of times professors will have online versions of textbooks that they don't tell you about until you're in person.
Yeah, something very different from when we were in school and books for a significant amount of money and all that. We have not found that at Elon. I think a lot is online.
Yeah, Ella brings up a really good point. I
Yeah.
think even if it looks like you need a book, our experience has been that a lot of times it is a PDF that's available right from the first moment of class. So I definitely would say wait.
Yeah.
It's very highly likely that you won't need to make a purchase, or as Ella said, the rental is very inexpensive.
I'm sorry about that.
So I see a question on here, and we hear this a lot at among incoming families and whatnot, of navigating like when your student gets sick, like what do you like, I'm just thinking about my own student, my own teens, being away from home for the first time, um, and they get a cold or a sore throat, or maybe they have a temperature, like talking through like what does that look like, where to get resources and that sort of thing. So Peter and Libby, you want to share like from a parent perspective, like what did you advise your students to do?
Well, I actually remember when our oldest called and was like, I don't feel so good. Did you pack me medication? And I do remember a family weekend showing up and several times.
Going to urgent care.
Having to go to urgent care. So there's CVS, there's Walgreens, all right there. I used to send them with cold medicine and cough drops and that sort of thing. And then we've definitely visited the urgent care. It seems scarier now than it is. And yeah, there's lots of options. And they've also utilized Elon's medical care too. So a lot of options.
Yes, and now you can get things delivered from pharmacies, like some basic over-the-counter meds, through different. So like probably good to mention, you can order things through Instacart or Uber Eats or all the different delivery services shipped and whatnot. So you can also do that, if you send something from Target to campus, if your student's not feeling well. Ella, have you had any interaction with the Student Health and Wellness Center having a cold or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. I got COVID the third week of school in my freshman year. So I definitely took a lot of those resources to my advantage. Um, there's also, say, if you are in a pinch and you're not able to have access to like Uber Eats or delivery services, um, in the Clohan dining hall on the bottom floor, there's a little market. And in that market, there's little just over-the-counter medication, cough drops, like cup of noodles if you want soup, things like that, that you can pick up when you're in a pinch if you can't leave campus or if you don't have any way to get things from off campus. That's a great resource. A great resource. I also know one of the Jewish Life offices, they provide soup delivery to certain on-campus residence life. So I think that there's like a form somewhere on the Elon website. I'm sure if you search up like soup something, it'll pop up and you're able to say like you can send it as a parent, so you can fill it out and say, my student is not feeling well and I'd like to have it sent to their dorm on this day. Or as a student, you can fill it out for yourself. And they'll send you like matzo ball soup that is usually kept in like an insulated thing, so it's hot when it arrives fresh to you.
Super. So we're almost out of time. We have a few moments left. Um, Ella, Peter, Libby, what would be your last words of advice or wisdom for incoming families?
I think really what I would say is trust in the process. And I know that's hard to say when you haven't experienced it, but it is more than a little bit impressive how smoothly it runs. And you pack up, you bring all your stuff, and along with that is all of your stress about what you're about to experience, and it all washes away the moment you're there and you start to really go through the sheer amount of planning that goes into move-in weekend. So that would be my advice, is just trust that you're going to be taken care of. You're going to be directed where you need to go. You're going to have plenty of time to do the things you need to. And it all is a very well-oiled machine.
Yeah, I
Ella?
guess if anything, I would just say a piece of advice to pass along to your students. Um, in terms of homesickness, everyone's going to have different experiences with that. I know I've mentioned it a couple of times. I had a bit of a difficult transition in my first semester. I'm very close with my family. I was a little upset about leaving home for a long period of time. But your student's not going to be alone in whatever they're feeling. Even if it seems like other people are having different experiences, everyone kind of copes with that and discusses it in different ways. So just kind of, being there for them if it's something they need to talk about, but also reassuring them and reminding them that whatever they're feeling is not going to last. And that it truly does just take time, setting your roots and becoming settled in whatever new place you are. So just reminding them that and giving them the support.
Yeah.
Super. Well, I greatly appreciate Ella, Peter, Libby, your time today. I know you've helped alleviate some concerns and stress for incoming families and students, giving them a wealth of information. Families, if there were questions that we did not get to have a chance to answer, or that you were like, oh, I wish I'd asked, feel free to email parentengagement@elon.edu, and we'll be happy to connect with you and answer your questions. So we cannot wait to look forward to seeing you on campus. in 17 days. Wow. So August 22nd will be some of the smiling faces welcoming you to campus, and we will see you then. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.